everybody. It's so good to be here. But at the same time, I have to say that I have to gather myself, gather some courage in order to be here, because I was not scheduled to be the speaker tonight. And when it was 10 to 6, I received a last-minute call saying that the person who was supposed to be here with us unfortunately had an emergency. And let's say I flew from Castleberry through 417 to LB McLeod in 32 minutes, because that's what happened. I'm really keen of Star Trek, transporting abilities. Was not able, but I felt like I was transporting my spirit. But there was no traffic, so I made it. And in the meantime, I received a call saying, the air conditioner in the center is not working. I said, okay, so, life is good. And it's good to test our abilities to be flexible, to face obstacles, and to face fear, right? Confront fear. So I have to say, when I teach my new speakers, we have like courses here, some basic guidance to speak in public. I always say, do never apologize. Whatever happens, do never apologize for your lectures. But I will make an exception today, because you're going to have the courage to listen to me today. How about that? Huh? All right. It's going to sound like a joke, but unfortunately it was not. Now you can leave it. You can leave it on the lights. I need a lot of lights today. I was trying to see. Oh my gosh, what I'm gonna say. And I kind of followed the market very closely. I really enjoy finances. I don't understand anything about it, but I enjoy, Like the more you learn, the more you listen, the more you learn. And as I work, I have the apps on, whatever I can do. And the spirit of people is volatile now. The market is not volatile. The spirit is the fear factor, really hitting the market so hard that fear itself might be one of the main triggers of a change in the economy for a few months ahead, for maybe a couple of years ahead of us globally. So I thought to myself, nothing better than talk about courage. And as I was looking for a flash drive, my dog realized that I was a little bit agitated. So what did he do? He jumped on my hand before I had prepared a little bit, and then I was going to transfer to my laptop to make sure that the topic was secure. So before I did that, he jumped on my hand, and he did not eat the flash drive, but he kind of destroyed it. I said, wow. He ate my homework. I realized that when I was a student, I killed my grandparents so many times before tests. I always said that my dog should, destroy the homework, but I never thought that as an adult I would come here in front of people and say that my dog chewed my lecture. So I said, okay, how good is your memory? So I put together some stuff that I had from other lectures And I remember what I had studied and you see half of the lecture here. That being said, the most important part, it's not here, but I'm so familiar with the topic that I think I can share with you the part the dog chew. Because, talk about courage when as a theoretical topic, and analyzing problems far away from us, analyzing disasters, different situations. It's like everything is just like a big master PhD thesis. Because when we talk about fear and the need of courage, when we are truly facing adversity, if you don't have a strong foundation, when people start talking about that, the topic alone hurts you. Sometimes I hear my dear speakers here, and I hear other friends talking about illnesses, crises, loss of loved ones. And sometimes people are a little bit distracted when they talk in public. Because the crisis, the situations are true for the person who is listening to you. Is the real deal. So I'm very careful to talk about this topic. And I like to say that I'm with you, and so many of us are with you if you're facing adversity right now. So this is all beautiful to talk about courage and the fear factor, but you have your savings going down $88,000 in 2 days because of the fear of others attacking and disseminating anxiety throughout the market. You say, oops, it's not there anymore. It's here in my life. When you hear people talking about that, yes, and before reincarnation, before this very life, we plan our life, and illness is going to be one of the parts of your trials. People forget that somebody might be sitting right now going through illnesses and trials that you can possibly imagine. I spoke in the same week, 2 weeks ago, in the very same week, with two mothers who lost one 22-year-old son and another one who lost a baby, a 4-month-old baby, on the turnpike, in a turnpike accident. It was on the news, and the person was here. In the same week, the same topic. I said, oh my gosh, God, help me. How are you going to help? And try to console somebody who lost a 4-year-old baby, a 4-month-old baby. You can't. So if you're going through trials now, I don't have the power to console. I don't have the power to take away from you. But I can share all this information we have received from enlightened spirits. Truly, the spirit of wisdom coming through hands and the voice of our truly dedicated mediums who are trying to help us in a way to show that, yes, these trials are part of our evolution. But when we are in the midst of them, they seem to, I don't know, just to crush us down. It seems there is no hope. You see on the news a tornado going through Oklahoma, and you left home and you come back, you see nothing. Your life, your material life, your pictures, your belongings, everything is gone in a matter of seconds. How do you gather strength to confront and to live through this kind and this magnitude of adversity? Since we're not all that young here, we are more enabled living people with some years in our back. I can say, I believe, that most of us either went through a major event, painful event in our lives, maybe two, or had that happening with our loved ones. And if it is your son, it's your daughter, a person that it's just the most beloved being in your life, is you would prefer to be in his or her place. You would go through the pain so they don't need to suffer. You would. Because that's what love is about. So when people suffer this kind of adversity, it's so fair, it's so understandable. They turn to God and say, "Where are you? What have you been? Are you really distracted? Really busy? Creating galaxies in different universes? Because I'm here, a little speck of dust on earth, and I'm crying my soul out, and I need you." And they told me that you are a loving creator, but I don't see your love in my life. So people, that mother asked me, where was God when 5 people in that car hit us, and my 4-year-old baby is the only one who left us? Where is God? He's an innocent child. So, dear friends, there's absolutely no information in terms of philosophical information, in terms of rational reasoning, that could help us understand this kind of tragedy. But Spiritism can. So if you're not going through trials now, if your life is kind of in a normal place, you're kind of comfortable, this is the time for you to learn this level of information, because you're going to need it. I will too. Because when we are in the midst of the pain, around and inside the hurricane and the tornadoes of life, You can't even think. So this is the time, and I congratulate you to be here on a Thursday night. We could be doing so many different things. And we are here gathering strength to face fear, adversity, turmoil, deception, disappointment, ungratefulness, because we will understand when life hit us hard, we are no victims. We have planned this very life we are living right now. And at a rational level, if it is not for Spiritism, would be inconceivable to understand that you have planned pain for this very life. They say in these beautiful sayings, yeah, it's not the pain, is the suffering. If you see different, well, you know, it hurts the same. Put your hand next to a very hot pan. The pain is the same. It hurts. But as we have lived so many lives, when we get to the real dimension of eternal and the real dimension of real life, because this, we forget, but this is only a passage. We live here 60, 70, 80 years, 100. I wish I don't live up to 100. Would you like to live 100? I wouldn't. Who is the insane being?
105.
105. Okay, Ariel. Okay, all right. So let's see the saint who is going to take care of you. All right? Oh, he's going to become a saint. The body goes. You know, you only can take care of it so much, but your strength will go away eventually when you're 99, right? But anyways, it's not the point. But when we get to the spirit world, it's just like when we are inside of a, let's say in a swimming pool, and we get out of the pool, and you see everything so clear. But if you jump back in the pool, everything, you know, you see things are there, but you really don't see clearly. So that's what happens. When we are back in the spirit world, we see things clearly. With one add-on, we are able to see and to know parts of our choices in past lives. Why part? Because if you know everything that happened in past lives, you will go crazy. You say, why you say that? Because look at the world we live in. Most people are not that enlightened. I am not. I was at a Starbucks yesterday. The lady charged me $100 for a cup of coffee and a snack. And I look at the app and I showed her, this is my credit card app, look at this. It's a mistake. Can you fix it, please? Of course it's a mistake. She turns to me and say, I'm sorry, but here in our computers, there is only one transaction. The transaction is right. I said, look at my American Express app right here. It's saying $100 from Starbucks at 10:31. It's from the store where I am here, and you're there. Oh, you need to deal with American Express now. And I said, oh, okay, don't leave home without American Express. So I was so confident. Said, so you're telling me that you're telling me that I gotta call my American Express to fix a problem because you don't want to go through the work? And then I felt my blood getting a little faster in my arteries, in my veins. And I said, it's a test. It's a test. So I kept my calm to as much I could, and I said, I'm sorry, your answer, very politely, and with a smile. This is unacceptable. So, but I will call my credit card. And what I heard the rep saying, you gotta trust us. I said, ma'am, they just charged me $100 for a cup of coffee. I have no proof. And you telling me one of the biggest companies in the world that I just gotta trust you, that nothing's gonna happen? I said, well, you were on a recorded line here. If that charge shows up in your credit card, just call us back again. I was saying, okay, sure, this is a great idea. I don't want to go through this again. And as my patience was being tried, I said, oh my gosh, this is a speck of problems. This is never a good sign. So this means that more things is gonna happen. So don't be superstitious. When I got home, I got bad news. But I'm not superstitious, I'm just joking around. Because at that very moment, I get the second news after that lady at Starbucks, I felt like strangling her. And the rep, I threw many bad energy towards her. And I started feeling bad. Because when you throw away bad energy, what do you think that energy goes back to you? So I will start getting annoyed and I said, oh my gosh. Where is all this learning? I bet I met somebody, I stole a cup of coffee in another life, and here is Starbucks in my life. It is. It's a test. It's such a small little thing. But that's what, we are not that smart in other lives. We could be very educated, intelligent, but not emotionally smart. We didn't make good choices. So when we are in the spirit world, everything is so clear. So you do ask to go through a Starbucks experience. And that is going to test your patience and your demeanor if you can deal with a small little frustration. Because when you get home, you might find a real situation. And then I said, oh my gosh. For some reason at that moment, I think I was being involved in good energies by the good spirits. For a moment, my head was clear, and I said to myself, all this knowledge that has been bringing me peace all these years is preparing me for this situation right now, again, because I went through other ones, just like most of us here. So when we are in the spirit world, as we understand our not smart choices, we choose trials that is going to help us purify our understanding of life, to help us to be able to be a little more compassionate, a little less controlling. And I said, When I left the Starbucks, I was driving home, and I said, why did I get so upset? I controlled myself. I was not really, really, really bad. I just threw an unacceptable there, kind of raised my voice a little bit. No, you're going to fix this problem. But I kind of control myself. Could be much worse if I was not a spiritist. So I kind of control. But inside, I was really upset because it was an injustice. I showed my app right here, my computer, my little personal computer, and the lady said, I can do nothing. I said, can you call the manager? Of course, I knew she was the manager. Can you call the manager? She goes, I'm the manager. So me and my pride, because that slipped, I couldn't hold it. Can you call somebody? I did like this, a little bit above you. Because I'm sure they can fix such a simple accounting problem in a computer. Because I have no proof. They're going to charge me $100 for this cup of coffee. And these 2 egg white bites that I really like so much. And I said, oh my gosh, I cannot make any scandal here. Because I love this Starbucks. If I make a scandal, next time I come here, they might throw something in my coffee. You hear the horror stories with the waiters, Do never complain about food before the food comes to your plate. You have no idea what can happen in the kitchen. So I said, oh my gosh, all right. I said, why did I get so upset? And I said, because they did not believe me. They stay in their position. They confront my reality and my frustration. They did nothing. And the root of this is pure pride. I said, oh, when I realized that it was pure pride and vanity, I said, okay, well, that's better. But at least I immediately got calmer. Because I realized the root of the evil was not the attitude of the lady, was my reaction. I made it a big deal. I could have let it go. I could have trust American Express. Because the rep was really saying that if I just trust them, everything will be all right. And the only thing I would need to do is another call and convince somebody else that my truth was the real truth. How come she has the audacity? That crossed my mind. To tell me that I have to trust American Express. So do you see the root of my frustration? Was not the problem. Was how I saw others doing this to me. So when we go through from small frustrations to big, huge problems, one pathway to some level of peace is to try to find the root of that problem. Why am I going through this? But don't ask in terms of God being distracted with you and me. Don't try to find out exactly what happened in another life for you to go through this, but try to find at a balance of qualities and personality defects. Where is the root of that problem? My parents were just regular working people. Maybe a little bit of a higher middle class in Brazil. They work really hard. My father worked really hard. And my father bought 3 small houses throughout his life. And I was raised listening that was his savings when he got old and he couldn't work anymore. He would rent 2 places, live in one, at least he would have the minimum to live. Later on in life, one of my relatives married a man that became extremely successful. So she's extremely rich nowadays. And rich people live around rich people, right? So my parents started living around very, very successful business people. They had their lives planned, but impressed with richness, they agreed to open a business. They have never been a business owner, never had the wisdom to do that. My father was a businessman, but he was a director of a company. He was not a gas station owner. That's where they opened. They opened a gas station. He didn't know nothing about it, and he was really honest. I don't know if you know, but in Brazil, as you can tell by my charming accent, I'm from Brazil. I'm trying to be funny. Nobody laugh. Okay, all right. Anyways, in Brazil, the gas stations, a lot of them, they mix gasoline with alcohol, with a lot of alcohol, and they say that it's only 10%, but it's a lot of alcohol, So they make the gasoline cheaper, or whatever they are selling cheaper. And my father would not agree to do that. No. If I sell this, that's what they're gonna find in my gas station. Okay, all right. Long story short, they lost everything to the banks. Okay, everything. Everything, literally. So they impressed with other people's riches. They make moves in their lives that are just like mind-blowing. So there are 2 types of trials we live in life. The ones that are the result of very unwise choices from the past, true mistakes, excuse my language, but true sins against others and against ourselves. And those trials that we open the door and we leave the trial now because we made the problem and sat on top of it. That trial was not to be part of your life, but your pride, your greed, in this case, my father says clearly, my greed put me in this situation. My greed. So we need courage. We need courage because we have to forgive. I don't, who am I saying to tell you? Who am I to tell you have to do something when I cannot even do it myself so many times? I'm a student of life just like each one of you here. But we can try, and sometimes we can win in our favor. We can try to see these trials in a different way. To change everything we can change. And it is in our power. And accept the things we cannot. Usually the things you cannot change usually are the fruit of bad seeds in other lives. Like you're born with a major illness, or your loved one is born with no legs or no arms, this kind of tragedy, drama. Usually this kind of thing comes from other lives. Actually, there is only one explanation. It is from other lives. And the other ones, the problems we go through in this very life, as a result of our actions in this life, we need to try to forgive ourselves. Because if the reasoning is, oh, if I thought better, I wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't. You would have done the same thing. You know why? Because you only think like this today because you are already different from that as a result of your bad choice. That's the beauty from the ashes. That's the only part that you can say, listen, you would have done the same mistake because that's who you were at that time. But now you see differently. Now you are different. So accept the things you cannot change anymore. Like my parents, you might have lost all your earnings. It came to a point in their lives, they are still alive, both of them. They are much elderly now. It's not that old, you know, they are not that old because I'm not that old, right? Right? Help me here. Oh, yes, of course, you look great, Livia. Okay, thank you. I knew you were going to say, think like something like that. But they are different. And they finally forgave themselves and forgave each other because their lives became a battle of Waterloo. They kept blaming each other for 30 years. To go to visit my parents was like a trial in itself. Because the heaviness in that house that used to be my home. You know, my home is not the building, I mean. It was the place I was born in and lived with my parents. I loved them so much. It was hard to even to talk to them on the phone. So they finally came to grips and they finally found some peace, but only after they accepted. There are things we can change still. Even if you commit very serious mistakes, you still can make changes. Let's say if you learn to deal with wealth in a different way, maybe you can help others. You know what I mean? You can be like an advisor. Not even a paid advisor. You can learn to teach others about finances. If you're not a good mother as a child, even if you let go those who were coming to you, you can become an educated, taking care of kids, you know, freely, for the love of children. We can turn our mass in messages. We can. That's our part. So if you are in a situation to finish, you know, I didn't change any slide. You know, I don't know what happened. You know, I had 15 slides, saved from the dog chewing. It's not amazing? It's 10 to 8. I got to finish. Oh. Does anybody know who this person is? His name is Nick Walanda. He is very famous. He's still alive. This happened I took this picture from the TV. I couldn't believe when he was in Chicago, going across buildings. But he went across Niagara Falls, the Grand Canyon. The most amazing part is when he started crossing the buildings blindfolded. Blindfolded. Have you heard about that Pastor Joel Osteen? Who heard him? Who heard about him? He's wonderful, isn't he? I love him. He's an inspiration. So he's very close to the Joel Osteen family. And Joe was praying for him because that was like such an act, such an audacious act. But he himself, and I saw this later on in the interview with Joel Osteen when he went to the program. But the TV did not show this part of his interview when he says, I want to do this so I can show people that if you trust God enough, if you train yourself, you can face the fear, and you can have the audacity and the courage to go through this kind of trial. This is a trial of my faith, he goes. And the TV never showed this beautiful, inspirational part of the TV, of the interview. And I was just mesmerized watching that show. So there was a moment that he was blindfolded. I started praying for him because I said, there was a multitude of people down there. If you fall, you would fall on people, I guess, But anyways, it was that complete silence. And I said, I am so nervous looking at this guy doing this that I need to start praying because I'm going to interfere with his concentration. When I remembered to pray, I had a vision. So my vision was, he's going like this, right? He's going like this, from one building to the other. And he was trying to balance himself with this, what do you call this? The stitch, right? Or something. So all of a sudden, I have a vision of an axe, like cables holding him from building to other building. So those cables, magnetic cables, were holding him. It was the most beautiful, because I saw, just like I'm looking at you, I said, I can't believe I'm seeing this. I was so grateful because I could see the spiritual part of that show, that situation, that experience. So let's remember, just really to finish, when we are going through this kind of trials, and we think that we only have our experience, our learned, educated experience, that you can face the problem, let's remember that we are not alone. We have invisible cables holding us. If we lift our spirits to God, we are not alone. In the end of the tunnel, there is light. It might not be the light that you want, but you will find peace if you put your life in God's hands. I saw the other day a saying in the Calm app. If God chooses to move your mountain, don't tell him where to put it. Put your life in God's hands and see your life turning for the better. Thanks to my God, thanks to my dog, I could deliver this lecture. Have a great week. Thank you.